67 documents marked as confidential, 92 marked secret, 25 marked top secret. These are what the FBI said were inside 15 boxes, retrieved by the National Archives in January from former President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago home. They were handed over after lengthy efforts to secure Trump's presidential records.
And that's when they said, oh my gosh, this is a lot bigger than just a Presidential Records Act violation. This could be a classified information national security risk. And so we need to bring the Justice Department in on this.
It triggered an FBI search of the Florida property in August, where the Justice Department says even more highly classified documents were found. The standards around classification and declassification are key to the federal investigation into Trump and his defense. Here's how that process works, including what authority the president has and doesn't have. The Constitution gives the president, as commander-in-chief, authority to decide what should be classified. And recent presidents have managed this by writing an executive order detailing the rules around the classification and declassification process. It's essentially been the same for decades. Bush really just updated Clinton's order, Obama just updated Bush's, and that's still the current procedure. Neither Trump nor Biden released new ones. The order gives the authority to decide what should be classified to people called original classifiers. They're folks like the Director of Intelligence and other higher-ups. The executive branch, which includes the military, employs more than 4 million people. Less than 1,500 of them have this important designation. They write out classification guides deciding what information should be classified and to what level. That guide would be distributed to other members of the agency, so they would know to label documents with the right classification and know whom they could and couldn't distribute it to. Confidential is the lowest classification level, information that could cause damage to national security. The next level is secret, then top secret. There's also additional classifications, like special access programs that only limited people can view. The Bin Laden raid, for example, would have been a special access program. There's also sensitive compartmented information, which contains details about intelligence sources and methods. Basically, information from spies. They can only be used and stored in special secured facilities, or SCIFs. The same goes with special access program files. Both these kinds of highly classified materials were found in documents from Mar-a-Lago. When marking a document containing classified information, the author must include which original classifier has deemed it classified and why, and directions on how it should be declassified. It can be automatic after a certain date or after an event takes place, but it generally can't be more than 25 years from its creation, according to the latest executive order. If information is to be declassified earlier, like what Trump says he did, that authority lies with the same people who could classify it in the first place, the original classifiers and the president. And the procedure is similar. Typically, a declassification guide would be written and sent out. The classified documents would then also be changed to show that the information was declassified. And it's important to note that this authority resides in the position, not the individual who holds that position. So if an original classifier retires, that person no longer has the authority to classify or declassify. But whoever takes their position does. This includes the president. The president also doesn't have authority over all classified information. Like nuclear weapons are classified by law, and any information shared by other countries can only be declassified by them. Here's where it gets a little complicated in regard to Trump. His lawyers claim that he broadly declassified a range of materials, suggesting that any material brought to Mar-a-Lago wasn't classified. But there's no written record of that blanket declassification. A former aide argues he did it verbally, similar to what he did in 2020.
In October of 2020, President Trump put out for the world to see a sweeping declassification order. That is the precedent that the President of the United States is allowed to operate under.
But in 2020, when journalists sued to obtain those supposed declassified records, they were denied. Trump's chief of staff wrote in court testimony that Trump's statements were not self-executing declassification orders, meaning Trump said it but didn't actually want to declassify the documents.
In almost every case, we have seen the court say, look, we understand the president said this in public, but he hasn't gone through any of the procedures for declassifying this.
In a similar case in 2020, the court ruled that while the president has broad authority to classify and declassify, declassification cannot occur unless designated officials follow specified procedures. Basically, the president has to do more than just declare it declassified.
So the lack of any evidence that they actually went through those procedures makes it really hard, in my view, to prove to a court that any of this was actually declassified. Even though there's a good argument Mr. Trump may have had that authority when he was president.
The FBI search warrant cited several laws surrounding the handling of documents, not necessarily just classified ones.
This case isn't just about classified documents. This is about the unlawful retention and potentially mistreatment or manipulation of a whole range of government records.
The investigation that stems from that August search could widen to more classified information, but that will involve the courts deciding if those documents really were classified.